Yo, Shortbox Nation, this is Botter, and I'm here to tell you right now that con season starts early this year with the return of Northeast Florida's premier anime, comic book, and sci-fi event, Collective Con. That's right, Northeast Florida's largest pop culture convention returns for its 10th year on March 8th through the 10th at the Prime Osborne Center in Jacksonville, Florida. 10 years of Collective Con, they're pulling all the stops out to make sure this is a can't-miss event. And the guest list they got going, don't even get me started on the guest list. I mean, they've got A-list celebrity guests and voice actors from some of your favorite movies, anime, and video games like Elijah Wood and Sean Ashton, Ray Park, Trisha Helfer, Ross Marquand, Max Middleman, and Bo-Katan herself will be there, Katie Sackhoff. Tell me what other convention is giving you the opportunity to meet Frodo and Sam from Lord of the Rings, Darth Maul, and One Punch Man all under the same roof. Oh my goodness. Only at Collective Con. And if you're looking to get some of your favorite comics signed, or if you want to get an original sketch from some of the best comic artists in the world, well, you're in luck, because there'll be plenty of comic and creator guests there, like DC comic artist extraordinaire Clay Mann, Harvey Award-nominated illustrator John Taylor Christopher, Marvel and DC cover artist Chris Stevens, and acclaimed Star Wars author Timothy Zahn. They'll all be at Collective Con this year. And if you're looking to bring the family, or if you want to make a weekend out of it, you're in luck, because there'll be so much going on at Collective Con that weekend in the form of vendors, fan panels, video game tournaments, cosplay contests, after parties, and a bunch of fan events. You can purchase single and 3-day weekend passes now using the link in this episode's show notes, or by going to collectivecon.com to book your tickets and hotel. Buy your tickets now, and I'll see you at Collective Con, March 8th through the 10th. Now let's start the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Shortbox Podcast.
The Shortbox Podcast is recorded live from Jacksonville, Florida.
Shit going on. It's like starting to come out of the fog. So
good for you, man.
I appreciate it.
That's awesome.
Well, I think with that being said, we should all toast. I see you got a beer in your hand. This isn't the reunion I thought, but you know what? To Happy New Year to you guys. All right.
There you go. L'chaim.
My fat heart grew 3 sizes. Oh, it's great.
All it took was beer.
All it took was beer, yeah.
And of course, we got to pour a little bit out for Ashley, who couldn't be.
Pour one out for Ashley.
Yeah. Well, maybe not my beer. Eddie,
oh shit! On my laptop. Damn you, Ashley!
Oh shit! All right.
Still causing damage.
I know, even from afar.
Wrecking shit.
I'm like from the afterlife. You guys are like, she's not dead, Botter.
My
Jesus
God, Botter,
Christ.
she died.
All right, man.
Godspeed, Ashley. Godspeed,
Ashley. You will be missed.
I am excited to talk about this shit here. The real Star Wars.
Oh my God! Stop it with that. I got a whole thing ready. You got to at least get it.
I was like,
let me get some.
Dude, when I got that email,
foreplay.
it was like, did I miss a conversation? You know, it's like, okay, we're doing an end of the year episode, maybe, best of whatever, the usual. And then it's like, read this Dark Horse Boba Fett comic.
Ed, you know that if Botter can capitalize on some sort of pop culture thing to line our pockets, he's going to do that at the expense of the holidays.
Yo,
easily.
Look, it's synergy, guys. It's synergy.
Oh, it's synergy, all right. For sure.
We gotta get our SEO.
Botter's like, holidays, schmolidays. Let's capitalize on Star Wars, true believer.
Look, it is January 2nd. By the time this episode comes out, it'll be the 5th. No one gives a shit about all these New Year, end of year lists by the time it comes out.
Fair enough.
Let's be real. All right, here we go for real. Yo, Shortbox Nation. Happy New Year and welcome back. This is episode 346. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome to the show. We're talking about Boba Fett this week and a handful of comics from the Star Wars Expanded Universe, now known as Star Wars Legends. My name is Botter Milligan, and I'm just 1/3 of the host that will be entertaining you on today's episode. And by the time you're done listening, you'll probably agree that I'm clearly the best one. So it's been almost a month since I've seen these two other Jokers in person, but it feels good to say that I'll be able to eat my body weight in pie caking with friends today. You've already heard their voices so far, but let's officially introduce the rest of your favorite comic podcast crew. First up, he'd normally be sitting to my left, but he's calling in from the Batcave today. He's my right-hand man and the host with many voices and opinions to match. It's Cesar Cordero.
Hello. Is it me you're looking for?
Oh, God.
Oh, Jesus.
Dying.
Yeah, guys, sorry.
He still got the legacy virus.
The sick voice is still happening.
Yeah,
the legacy virus. Hopefully I get more than just a deceased card from the Flair Ultra line in 94.
Oh, my God.
Do you remember those in the X-Men cards? They had, like, deceased. And you're a little kid. You're like, oh, my God. Colossus died of the legacy virus? This is when you thought Marvel had lasting stakes.
But he went out like a martyr, for the record, all right? He went out like a martyr.
Dude, Deadpool had a deceased card, okay? I'll just leave that there.
All right, and next up is the pie-caking king himself.
Oh.
The art-making Edbot 5000 is here with me in the studio today. Shortbox Nation, it's Edmund Danzart.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh.
All for Ed. All for Ed,
wow.
baby.
Hey.
Shortbox Podcast was filmed before a dead studio audience.
And we're missing a touch of royalty this episode, and that's because of the abundant lack of class that our very own Ashley Lanny Hoy brings.
You could have just said Ashley, because Ashley Lanny Hoy sounds like it's like another language. Like, is that a name altogether?
Or
with
like
no
a serial killer, because they have 3 names, right?
True. Oh, my God.
She's wrapping up a book and TV deal with Neil Gaiman and HBO, and she'll be back with us later this month. And since we are recording this episode via video, we will have a video version of this podcast on our Patreon channel for all you loyal Shortbox patrons to check out. But like I said at the top, today's episode will be a Star Wars focused show to celebrate the release of the Book of Boba, but also thanks to a suggestion by a good friend and loyal listener of the show, Tony ALP. We'll also be using this episode to talk about the comics from the Expanded Universe, or Star Wars EU as it's known to fans, which have now been rebranded under the Star Wars Legends banner. The comics have been around for as long as other novels that make up the EU, so they play a significant role in the Star Wars universe.
But not too significant, or else we have to pay them.
But they play a significant role in the EU's 45-year history. The EU consisted of hundreds of books, comics, and everything else that wasn't a film or TV show, and was once considered canon, although it was a continuity with a few wrinkles. But in 2014, Lucasfilms made the call to remove the EU from canon due to the impending Episode 7 and the move of their comics license to Disney sibling Marvel Comics. We'll be spotlighting our favorite EU gems in this episode. Now, if you end up enjoying this conversation, like I think you will, and end up thinking to yourselves, man, this podcast is really good. It really is the best. How can I show my support to ensure they keep going? Well, what's a small...
Butter, I'm going to have to stop you right there. There is no thinking. There is no thinking.
Yeah, just do it.
There is knowing. You know, there is no try. There is only do, to quote Star Wars
do
parlance.
not. That's right.
And as far as this podcast is concerned, the Shortbox Podcast is already your favorite show. You don't even know it yet. Please, if you have money, give it to us.
That's right.
If you don't have money, rob your parents and give it to us, because clearly you're a minor and you shouldn't be listening to the show, despite the fact there's an explicit box right there next to it. So I'm going to try and take this opportunity, and Botter, I think it's a missed opportunity on your part, to influence a young mind, to just look at someone who's clearly not able to make good decisions for themselves and say, hey, get the liquor from your father's cabinet and just drink it all up. And also, steal money from your grandma. She doesn't need it.
Yeah,
give it to us. We need your money. Please. How else are we supposed to shape young minds? How do I reach these kids, Potter?
The children are our future.
I can't say that I don't agree.
Yeah.
So I'll make it even easier for you if you're wondering how you can show your support. Might I shamelessly encourage you to consider buying some merch from us? We just restocked our online store of brand new shirts and hats. And you can even save 10% on your order at checkout when you use the discount code YO. That's with 2
Stop.
O's.
Are you serious right now? Is it really YO?
Yeah, I can make whatever
How many
discount
O's?
code I want.
I'm very
Just
happy
2 O's.
about
Just 2
this.
O's.
18
Y,
O's?
Y-O-O. I made it the short version.
Branding, baby.
There's a link to the Shortbox store in the show notes so you can wear your support proudly. And you can also help Cesar buy some diapers, all right? He's got a baby girl being born soon, and if you buy enough merch, he'll let you name his firstborn, all right?
Yeah.
It's a very
It's
unique...
true. I will shamelessly let you name. If you want to name the kid freaking Jamiroquai Bruce Wayne Cordero, I don't care. I just
a sick
just
name.
donate enough and it'll happen.
So buy a shirt, buy a hat, hit up our online short box store, link in the show notes. All right, use that YO discount code to save 10%. Now, with that out the way, let's go ahead and get on with the main event. Gentlemen, how about we quickly touch on the first episode of the Book of Boba? It's probably what a majority of our listeners want to hear first.
I like how you're calling it the Book of Boba. Like, if part of me is like, I wish it was like Boba Tea. You know,
what's the name of the show? What am I?
It's the Book of Boba Fett, not Book of Boba. Go to the mall if you want the Book of Boba. They probably have a tea.
Are you down with B.O.B., guys?
Yeah,
yeah, you know.
Down yeah, that's right.
Well, see, how about you go ahead and kick us off? How'd you feel about the first episode of the Book of Boba Fett? Yo, this is Botter. Sorry for interrupting this episode, but I'll keep it brief. I wanted to let you know about a massive sale we have going on over at the Shortbox Store on all of our merchandise and apparel. That's theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com. You can now save 20% off your entire order using the discount code YO, Y-O-O. So if you've been waiting for the right time to finally buy that gauntlet snapback, or if you ever wanted to buy any of the shirts you see me wear on the podcast, well, now's your chance to get them for a steal. We still have a few sizes left of everything, but they won't last long, and once they're gone, they are gone. And then I mentioned that all of our apparel is screen printed on high quality material. None of that heat transfer or direct to garment stuff. Our shirts are some of the most comfortable ones you'll ever wear, and the hats look even better in person. So wear your support for the Shortbox Nation proudly, knowing that you're going to look damn good doing it. Get to theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com as soon as you can, and don't forget to use that discount code YO, Y-O-O, to save 20% off your entire order. All of this information can be found in this episode's show notes if you want to get there faster. Thanks for not pressing fast forward. Now back to the show.
Okay, so I've got a lot of shit to talk about here. And you did this. You brought this on yourself, Botter. You really did. This is not my fault. I'm going to talk about a little bit about this episode. I didn't have a problem with it as far as like just watching it from a average John Q moviegoer.
Can we use those
perspective.
pull quotes for the review?
It was what now? What?
Can we use the? It didn't bother me. Cesar Cordero.
Yeah, it didn't bother me. This is going to go in the trailer as well. Also. No, it was okay. It was serviceable. Yeah. I mean, like all things
Fan
Star Wars currently,
sure.
It's serviceable.
Yeah.
You know, it's doing what it's supposed to do on autopilot. So I don't hate it. I didn't love it. Do I want more Mandalorian? Yeah, it's a cooler character. Basically, all the cool things in the expanded universe about Boba Fett, they kind of transferred over to the Mandalorian, but I guess we'll talk about that later. So yes. I would recommend the first episode.
I think I might be in the same ballpark. What you see, I don't think enough happened in this first episode to make me like have a hard stance whether I love it or hate it. It ended, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. It was like 39 minutes, which I felt was kind of it felt really short at least. But I get like they need to establish like this new world, this new predicament that Boba has found himself in. I will admit, I'm pretty much tired of being on Tatooine in the Tusken Raiders. Like I'm over it. Let's just move on, right? But my positive remarks.
But how will it be Star Wars if it's not that, Botter?
I don't know. Look at Mandalorian and what they did. They took me all over the world, and it was interesting. But my positive remarks go to Tamora Morrison, who looks like he's having the fucking time of his life.
I like him.
He was great
playing this character.
Tempura Morrison is awesome.
Tempura Morrison is wonderful, especially with a nice chicken dinner. Oh my god, amazing!
It's not as good as when he was in Hard Target 2 or Scorpion King 3.
Stop.
Dusk Till Dawn 3.
No,
he's like one of those character actors. He's got a great face for this role.
Yeah.
It looks like he's been through some shit.
Yeah, you can tell he's putting his all into the role.
I'm holding on to the Star Wars money as long as I can.
You know what, man? Good for him, Ed. If what you're saying is true about him being, that sort of like Bruce Campbell-esque kind of actor, the guy that, hey, I'm a working actor. show up to work. I get up in the morning. I do the job.
He's done the voices in all the video games. I mean, he's kept that. I'm Boba Fett, bitch. I'm holding on to this role as long as I can.
He's the Star Wars Jason David Frank, the Green Ranger. He's holding on. But you could tell like he's putting, for me at least, I could tell like he's really putting his all into this role, especially the action scenes. And then I'll also compliment that Ming-Na Wen, who plays Fennec Shan.
I was going to say, she's great. I rewatched all the episodes of The Mandalorian over the holidays because I was sick, and Sarah and I had Sarah hadn't seen the second season, so I was like, well, let's watch it, And man, she is a powerhouse. She is a badass. Like, she was great in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it kind of sucks that show kind of isn't canon anymore. But it doesn't diminish her performance, and she was pretty cool as Agent May, and now it's like she gets to show off as Fennec, and she's one of the coolest cyborgs in Star Wars right now. So
she's magnetic when she's on screen, and I think she has like a real cool mystique and like edge anytime that she shows up.
What's really smart is like anytime stunts or parkour scenes come, you got a mask. I can get a stuntman to wear it. I don't have to do this shit.
But I'll be honest, she looks like she could probably do stunts.
Yeah, she's solid. And it's, to me, it like, because honestly, guys, can I be honest with you guys?
Come on, you're in the trust circle.
I never
or triangle.
To me, because I'm not a huge Star Wars guy, so to me,
hit it.
To me, Boba, someone bumped into his jetpack, hit the side of the ship, and fell into the Sarlacc pit and died, and that was it. He's done. I don't give a he looks cool. He's in, Empire for 2 minutes, and then he has the most undignified death.
Right.
You can have...
Look, Ed, I'm there with you. And the only reason
he just looks cool. That's why people want it. It's like more of Boba. He looks cool. He looks too cool.
Yeah, Boba Fett is more a testament to Ralph McQuarrie's artwork.
Even Lucas is like, he died in the Sarlacc pit as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It's the desert butthole ate him, and then he's done. No more Boba Fett. But this is, and I agree with what you guys say, because not as good as The Mandalorian was. I didn't enjoy it as much, but I enjoy what Favreau is doing, is making these kind of simple stories, like really stripped down, simple, because understandable, even more importantly, because the last several Star Wars things have been incomprehensible. Just simple stories, and to me, since I didn't read any of the books or any of the stuff, it's like having him come out of the Sarlacc pit. That's smart. Just to kind of, for people like me, it's like, oh, okay, let's figure out how he got that, and he gets robbed by Jawas, which is awesome.
It's a visual metaphor. Yeah, right? It's a visual metaphor. He's literally coming up out of the shit.
Yeah,
and trying to make a name for himself.
Yeah,
right?
and it changes.
Because a lot of people are like you, Ed. Like, a lot of people are like, who the fuck cares about Boba Fett? Like, Han Solo accidentally killed
he didn't die nobly. I mean, he just bumped into his jetpack and he flew right into the side of the ship and died.
Yeah, and that fucking sandworm ate him. So.
And then they blew up the ship for no reason and killed like all these poor people.
Yes, I know it's a Sarlacc, everyone who's listening. I understand that. I just want to point out how often George Lucas fucking cribs from Dune.
I know. What did Max Rebo's band do to deserve to get blown up?
Yo, the Max Rebo band. I love him.
He killed that. Why did they blow up that ship?
I love the mixtape.
Dude,
I had no reason to blow up that ship.
Ed, you and I both know the musicians always suffer. They're always going down with the ship. Clearly, all right? Potter's sitting here smiling like a fucking cheeser right now.
Full of like indentured servants and hired help.
Yeah. Ed and I are fucking
so rude.
Guitarists and basses for like millions of years. We're going to go down with the short box sail barge. Potter's going to come out smelling like a rose, as usual.
No, but like between the two characters, you can kind of see like, because that changed him, being with the Jawas, I'm guessing you're going to see this transformation, more benevolent crime lord, if you will.
I will rule with respect.
Rule with respect. Honor among thieves.
Yeah.
But you can see like the two ideologies, like she kind of represents kind of like the old Boba Fett, just take no shit, badass, kill him, and then the new Boba Fett is kind of more reasonable, acting with more reason, not trying to, I guess, show off his power or rule with like an iron fist, as he says. But it wasn't perfect, and some of the back and forth with the flashbacks and stuff were a little jarring to me, and it's Robert Rodriguez, so I was like surprised when I saw him that he directed this. And but it's got me interested. It doesn't have that magic The Mandalorian had, but it's it's interesting, and it's like I guess that whole wearing the helmet the whole time, that just doesn't fly with him, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about
he ain't
that.
about tradition.
So is he like, he didn't follow that, he just wore the outfit, right? Is that the story?
Well, him and Mando had a back and forth whenever he does show up in season 2.
Yeah, not all Mandalorians adhere to the
Okay.
the other, I guess, what Mando's religious leanings are.
Okay.
Because Bo-Katan didn't, she took her helmet off all over the place. And I guess Sabine in Rebels takes her helmet off all over the place as well.
Okay.
So
I was just curious.
He's just he's basically Hasidic. He's very, very, very Orthodox.
Yeah. Well, look, episode 2 will premiere the same day that this podcast episode premieres. So we'll see how it continues from there. I did want to say, if this show ends up being your cup of tea, great. But if not, the rest of the year is looking good for new Star Wars and Disney Plus content. You've got the Obi-Wan Kenobi show coming out, Andor, as well as Mandalorian Season 3.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, they're really doing that?
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck about Cassian Andor?
Who's
Look,
that?
okay, by the way, let me get
is.
this out at the top of the gate. Like, really out the gate, guys. This show is not bad. Okay? I've seen worse shows. Book of Boba Fett is not bad. It's a fun show. It's good. I'll just want to throw that out there.
And it's just episode 1 at that,
Serious. Yeah. I'm about to throw a fucking forest full of shade. But just remember, I recommend the show and I enjoy it.
Was the shade for later or now?
No, yeah, for later, because we're going to talk about the comics, right?
Yes. Let me wrap up by saying, so you got this year at least slated for sure is the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, which I'm definitely looking
What'd you
forward
think
to.
of like
the
Harryhausen kind of nod with the
dude?
Goro?
I thought the same fucking thing. I was like, that is a Ray Harryhausen nod. It's got to be.
So you got Obi-Wan Kenobi, Andor, and then Mandalorian Season 3 slated to come out later this year.
I don't know who that second person is.
No one does, Ed. That's the problem. He was in Rogue One. He's a fucktard, and who gives a shit? Sorry, I'm sorry.
Which guy was he in Rogue One?
The main guy.
He's the only dude with the Latin accent.
Oh, then I thought he died. What is this?
Yeah, they
his
died.
prequel?
I think the prequel.
They all died.
Or
Yeah,
who cares about
because
that guy?
He was such an interesting character. He gets a spin-off show.
The
much
fan
like
base,
everyone else in Rogue One.
The fan base is crying out for an Andor limited run show. But
I'd rather have the robot series.
We'll talk about the fucking fan base.
But look, there's also the possibility either late this year or next year. You got Ahsoka, Rangers of the New Republic, and then the Acolyte series. So if 2021 was kind of like the year for MCU Disney Plus content, it looks like this year will be the year for Star Wars Disney Plus content.
Oh, just one more thing. Sorry, those Gamorrean guards, thick boys, huh?
Look at them, huh?
Yeah, I want to tell a story. Sorry to sidetrack.
Go ahead. No, please.
I love Gamorrean guards. I don't know, for some reason as a kid, because they were such like fantasy characters in Star Wars. They look like something out of Lord of the Rings. I had a hat, a Gamorrean guards hat with like drawings of Gamorrean guards, and let me tell you guys, as a fat kid wearing a Gamorrean guards hat.
Oh, the jokes are flying. That's like a layup.
I wonder why I got picked on. Yeah. That just basically says, just come over and beat the shit out of me.
That is beautiful, Ed.
Yeah, it flew off. I was in the back of a truck and it just flew off into, I don't know where it's at. But I love that hat.
That's like God's way of being like, all right, I got
it's like
you.
God's like, come on, dude. You're already... Don't make it harder on yourself. You're just actively inviting beatings.
That's funny as shit. All right. Well, look, since we're doing this episode as a celebration of the baddest bounty hunter in the cosmos, getting his own show, I want to hear about your first conscious exposure to Boba Fett. Ed, you kind of touched on yours already, so I'll go to you, man. Paint us a picture, bro. What was the first? What were you thinking when you first saw Boba Fett?
So, when I was a little kid, sorry guys, still got sick voice. When I was a kid, the first Star Wars movie I saw was Return of the Jedi. That was the first one I saw, like IRLs, as the new kids these days say. And Boba Fett kind of is he just nods. That's all he does. He nods, and as Ed said, he goes out like a fucking chump. Bad in that movie, but he looked cool. Like I'm like, okay. And I had a Marvel adaptation of Return of the Jedi, famously done by Al Williamson, and if you guys don't have those books, they're beautiful. He adapted the original trilogy in comic book form. And it's just cool because Al Williamson has done Flash Gordon. And, if you know anything about Star Wars, then there's a tie to Flash Gordon. And Al Williamson is kind of connecting both of those. So as a kid, I remember seeing these pinups of Boba Fett flying out of the Sarlacc pit. Like, oh wait, he survived? And it's like, they would tease these sort of like future issues of maybe like the further adventures of Boba Fett. That piqued my curiosity because I was like, huh. And the fact that nobody knew what he looked like, and he had this badass fucking little braid coming from underneath his helmet. I was like, yo, he's got a rat tail like some of my friends, because it's the 80s. So anyway, that was essentially my first exposure, was the Return of the Jedi and the comic book adaptation of Return of the Jedi, which is fucking beautiful.
Yeah, I've been looking at them old comics like all week, trying to get ready for this episode. And Al Williamson's his Star Wars stuff is amazing,
dude. His everything is amazing.
Yeah, honestly,
the man could fuck. I have a book that he signed, and even his signature is beautiful.
Well, honestly, my intro to Boba was technically Jango Fett because of the Clone Wars. I've stated a few times that Star Wars Episode 1,
you poor man,
as well as
get him, Dad. Yeah,
as well as the Jedi Power Battle game for the PlayStation was my first real intro into the franchise.
Was terrible.
That game was. You couldn't tell me any different as a kid. Game. I've stated a few times how that was my intro into the franchise. So I first got to see the Bounty Hunter in Episode 2. To me, he was a total badass, much for the same reasons as you guys. Me and my brothers loved them. It was jetpack.
He just looks cool, right?
Yeah, it was like, holy shit. There's no one more cooler in mystique than this guy.
And his armor's all beat up. It looks really cool. It's all battle damaged, and the fact that they go in that room, he is easily the coolest looking guy in that room of bounty hunters. And Darth Vader doesn't talk to any of those other assholes. He just comes up to Boba and talks. The other guys, he doesn't go to Dengar and shoots the shit.
No, not even. Dude, what's funny is that one
nice
Imperial
diaper, Dengar.
Is like, the Imperial officer sitting here like, bounty hunters, we don't need this, come. And the guy's like, yes, sir. And then I imagine that other little dude was probably like, bro, not everyone's a racist, bro. I'm here for college, man. I only enlisted in the Empire so that way I could get my college paid.
The Empire bill.
Then,
I don't really believe in this shit.
Bosk is in the background.
Pay for my school.
With his little fucking foot just kind of doing that.
It honestly wasn't until a year or maybe a couple months prior to the release of Episode 7 when Cesar forced me to watch the OG trilogy that I really got to see, Boba's first appearance. Yeah, no, for real. Thank you for that. And understand why there was so much mystique and fandom around the character, purely for the fucking, how badass he looked. But I guess after watching and understanding, a little more about why people would love Boba Fett, and maybe understand why a lot of folks look at Jango Fett like a cheap knockoff. But for me, he was like everything growing up.
Yeah.
Interesting. So your first exposure was Tempura.
He's Team Jango.
Yeah. Team Jango.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh, wow. Okay.
So one thing I love about doing these spotlight episodes is being able to kind of deep dive into a pocket of the comic book universe that, especially pockets that I'm not too familiar with. And I go on to say that the Star Wars expanded universe is definitely something that I've never really decided to dive into. And Ed, you're shaking your head no as well.
Perfect.
If it wasn't for Tony AOP giving the suggestion, and also, like I said, Cesar kind of taking lead, pointing me in the right directions, I definitely wouldn't have had. I don't think I would have found a reason to.
Now it makes more sense. Now this whole thing makes more sense.
But I had a great time researching the expanded universe and getting to know it and really understand it. Ed, it sounds like you were probably in the same boat as I was. That you were probably unfamiliar with this prior to this going in. Did you know anything about the expanded universe or Star Wars Legends at all?
I knew Dark Horse published their books forever. That's about it. That begins and ends there. I never read anything. I remember reading about a comic where Han Solo and Chewbacca crash in the Pacific Northwest, and everyone thinks he's Bigfoot. And then Indiana Jones, there's another thing where Indiana Jones finds Han Solo's skeleton, but I don't know if that's real or not.
What is it, like a Lucas fanzine or something?
Yeah, Ed's right. They had fun with this franchise.
The thing with Bigfoot's real. The Indiana Jones one, I'm not 100% sure if that's legit or not. Okay. But yeah, I didn't read anything. I've seen, some of the covers and stuff, like some of those cool painted covers they would have, but other than that, I had no interest.
Well, see, how about you kick us off, man? Like, explain to us how you got into the expanded universe. Because when I mentioned that I wanted to do this episode, I mean, you really went into your bag and shared a lot of information with me off mic. So I wanted to kind of capture some of that on here.
Let me start out by saying, so the origin and evolution of the EU is, you could look it up on Wikipedia, but here's kind of my take on it, right? So the challenge of elevating throwaway entertainment into a highly idealized standard of art, all right? That's exactly what the EU represented. And before fucking people jump down my dick,
Wow.
I want to say, when I say lowbrow entertainment, I mean lowbrow in the sense of like romantic ideals of art, okay? We all love comics, but we got to admit, comics is a lowbrow art form. It's a lowbrow art form. We love it, but that's exactly what it is. Here's the thing. Let's not forget that most of these serials were created as an excuse to sell ads, right? So like Flash Gordon, The Phantom, King Solomon's Mines, The Shadow, all this stuff. That's what Star Wars is based off of, okay? So these serials from like the 40s and 50s, serials that only exist to sell commercials for fucking soap and cigarettes and God knows what else, all right? That's what they're there for. But here's the secret. Shh, listen, lean in, guys.
Oh,
here's the secret. Here's what makes Star Wars good, okay?
Do a little ASMR.
You ready for this? Star Wars represented what was best in photography, graphic design, last but not least, cinema. What it could do with throwaway entertainment, like serials with little to no budget, working outside the Hollywood system, right? So I'm going somewhere, okay? Hang with me. So take something as cheesy as a Flash Gordon serial and write characters using common quips and street vernacular, and you make the spaceships look dreary, but still imply that religious transcendence and magic can make you better in your situation. Take World War II imagery and slather it in the canvas of the stars, and what do you get, right? Star Wars is arguably one of the largest American independent art projects in film history.
A little Kurosawa thrown in?
Say again, go ahead.
A little Kurosawa thrown in there?
Yes. That's where the film nerds come in, right? Yeah. So that's the spirit of the original Star Wars trilogy. That's what makes it good artistically, is elevating a lowbrow form of art with a bunch of talented artists who basically say, okay, challenge accepted. Let's see what we can do, right? That is what the EU was. It used to be that. Star Wars Expanded Universe used to be a collection of crazy ragtag artists, some of them fucking self-taught, some of them classically trained, writers, colorists, artists, everything, all playing around in this universe that initially started out being a universe devoted to playing around in elevating these serials, right? So that's what makes it good artistically. That's where this EU is awesome. And you can credit Alan Dean Foster as the first guy who did it with Splinter of the Mind's Eye, right? That's the first expanded universe novel. But you had Marvel throwing Al Williamson at these comics, dude. Al fucking Williamson? Come on now. One of the fucking Fleagle Street gangs to include fucking Frank Frazetta? Come on, people. So, this is some good stuff. And when you told me, Botter, that you were like, hey, we're going to, totally cash in on this zeitgeist thing that's going on with Boba
Cha-ching.
Fett. Thank you for not disappointing. I was like, cool, so what's the plan? And you're like, hey, you said two people's names that piqued my interest. One of them, Ed definitely should know, which is John Wagner.
Mm-hmm.
And two, Cam Kennedy, if you guys know who he is, pre the Star Wars stuff. Those two guys together make so good, the Star Wars, the beautiful. They were Chef's a key so good. So this is where we're at, right?
Yeah.
Now we're at the expanded universe, and Dark Horse has all these crazy IPs to play with. If you haven't dived into any of the Dark Horse stuff, which is now technically, I guess, the Marvel stuff, have fun with it, because that's exactly what the artists did in an attempt to try and elevate a sort of, I guess, a standardized low form of art. And again, I state, when I say lowbrow, I mean in the classical sense. It is something I revere. It is something I worship. I think all of us have sat at the table of comic books and said, we are not worthy. Nothing has changed. I'm just saying, there's a reason why it was printed on shitty paper. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, thank you so much for laying down the groundwork for that. I think that was a great introduction. Talk about one hell of a rabbit hole as far as like research and you're looking at almost 45 years of content that was created. I'll boil what I enjoyed from my research in three big takeaways. For starters, I think C's kind of already touched on it, and we've kind of already said it too. But the length of time the EU has been around, right? The first expanded universe novel, which C brought up, Splinter of the Mind's Eye, was published in 1978. Although technically you could point to the EU's start in October 1977 with the story The Keeper's World in a Marvel Comics, pop culture magazine called Pizzazz Magazine. You also had the newspaper strip. So I mean, it's been around for as long as I believe like the first movie. I think the Pizzazz Magazine newspaper strip came out right after A New Hope. Second big takeaway, which once again, see kind of already introduced, but the talent that worked on the original Marvel Star Wars comics. Not only did it run 100+ issues, which I thought it was a much shorter run. I thought they only adapted the movies and they called it a wrap, but it actually went on for a lot longer than I thought. Issues 1 through 6 was their New Hope adaptation. Pretty much everything after that was brand new stories. So issue 7 was like completely new stories until you hit about, I think, issue like 34 or something like that. Then they do their Empire Strikes Back adaptation and so forth. But in between all of that, you had Marvel comic bullpen staples and legends like Roy Thomas writing stories. You had Howard Chaykin drawing, Carmine Infantino, Walt Simonson, Chris Claremont, of X-Men fame. And you also had some amazing painted covers by Bill Sienkiewicz. You also had Archie Goodwin. Like, it was just incredible to see the list of names that were involved with the original Marvel Comics series.
Look, dude, that's no accident. That's as a result of people essentially seeing what it was, right? The studios looked at Star Wars and they saw dollar signs. Artists looked at Star Wars and said, I get it. I get what they're trying to do. And I kind of want to put my little signature in this world as well. Used to be that. Used to be.
The length of time that Dark Horse Comics had that Star Wars license, I think Marvel had it from the 70s into like the late 80s or early 90s, but Dark Horse had it for damn near 25 years from 1991 to 2015. So a year after Lucasfilm made the decision to make all of that uncanon, which is like mind-boggling that it's like you're going to essentially say that 45 years of great stories means nothing to the larger scheme, right?
Not our stories.
Yeah. But I remember when I was working at the comic shop, which I mean was years ago, that how many people had the Dark Horse Star Wars comics on their pull list. And to me, like...
Dude, I remember Drew was like... He's like, dude, I've been reading like Star Wars Legacy, man. It's like, man, you gotta fucking read it, dude. Oh my God.
But the amount of comics that they published in that time frame, I mean, you could fill like several libraries up, and then you can even, I also got like a bullet about just the amount of characters that were originally introduced in the EU that have made appearances in comics post 2014 and other mediums. So like Valance the Hunter, who I was reading in the who took over Jason Aaron's Star Wars run, so it's like kind of cool to see them still kind of cherry pick certain characters from the larger EU. But you had Grand Admiral Thrawn made his first appearance in a EU trilogy novel series, and Luke's wife Mara Jade Walker, also a byproduct of the EU, and so much more. Ed, did you learn anything interesting along your research?
Outside of what you two guys have pretty much covered most of it. Like I said, it's something I was kind of just, especially working at the shop. My shop, our customers were pretty mainstream customers for the most part, so not a lot of people had it, but we had several of the trades there. And like I said, and I remember them touting like that 25 years of publishing, Star Wars before Marvel took over, and it instantly became, I'm not sure if Star Wars 1 was a million seller.
Yep, no, you're on.
It was probably the first million seller since like the Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld days. So,
and that was Jason Aaron of art by John Cassidy, and it was not even John Cassidy's best artwork at that
really.
too.
No,
it was like B list, his B grade stuff, and it still sold 1 million copies.
I'm not impressed by him. Sorry.
Yeah.
So,
John. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not his best stuff.
But I do remember thinking, all the pull list customers that we had at the shop that were picking up those Dark Horse comics, there was no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, they loved Star Wars. They were in it, like they were the diehard fans. No casual fans, I think, were picking up any of those titles.
Hardcores for sure. Because, like I said, it almost became like a niche thing, especially with like all the arguable missteps Lucas has made since the original 3 movies with the re-releases and the prequels and all that. That audience, there was only a hardcore audience, and those guys were reading the novels and getting the Dark Horse stuff.
Yeah.
Well, essentially, that was the last bastion you could go to where people were still trying to honor the spirit of what Star Wars used to be, which was basically a small band of rebels struggling to restore freedom to the artistic
It's up to us
galaxy.
now, guys. Lucas has lost it.
Just saying.
Yeah. And to see that they are incorporating, characters that were already established in the EU prior into some of these new shows and some of the newer comics that came out post 2014. It's like a really diabolical way of dangling a carrot in front of fans to reintroduce these characters that were already established, already had a backstory, already had a pretty cult following.
And good stories.
Yeah, I just find it kind of like diabolical to build excitement and anticipation for something you already had. It's like, I think you could also look at the fans too, like, and just how rabid they are, that the word canon can mean so much to a fan base. Like when the official party comes out, or the official creator comes out and says all of this isn't non-canonical, like how quickly it can turn like a fan base upside down. I think it's just kind of, it's interesting, but not in a good way.
You say nerd culture. I'll raise you one, and I'll say art culture. And I think a lot of people don't know it. Maybe they do. They want that. They want humanity in their stories and in their art. They want that. And when somebody discredits that, and somebody basically invalidates all of that, and the work put forward by established artists who put their time and energy into it, they kill it. And there's nothing left but a corpse. And, a studio doesn't care about whether something is living or dead. They just need something they can sell. And if the corpse is warm enough, people will fuck it. And I mean, look,
what an analogy.
Dude, it's gross, but it's true, man. How many fucking necrophiliacs do we have out there that fucking love Star Wars, and they'll defend it till the day they die, and it's shit. Like, now it's not good. It's horrible. It's not good, except, a couple diamond in the rough shows. But again, the only reason it's good, and I say it again, whisper real quick, guys, it's because there's humanity and there's art and they're elevating something. And anytime you go backwards by trying to cash grab or make a sale, well, guess what? You are honoring the original serials in the sense that they were only created to sell shit. And they were cheesy, and not too many people dug on them except when they needed to mine them for artistic integrity. So where are we at, fellas?
I'll say this, listeners, even if you don't agree with some of our opinions that we're sharing, you are getting some great ASMR from Cesar for completely free.
Hey, right? Look, I'm saying this as somebody who is a fan, and I want more of good things. I'm just not going to give anybody a pass when I don't see it, dude. I'll call it, dude, I fucking love Batman, but if shit Batman comes out, then I will say it is shit Batman. There's good Star Wars. Fucking Mandalorian's great. It's great. It's good Star Wars, man. This Book of Boba Fett is subpar because we already got a Mandalorian that we care about. But not bad. Not bad.
Adam, I'm gonna go to you real quick, all right? Because for this episode, I asked everyone to check out the trade paperback Star Wars Boba Fett, Death, Lies, and Treachery. It was published by Dark Horse in 1998, and it collects 3 individual stories about Boba that span from 95, 96, and 97, all done by the same creative team, writer John Wagner, a.k.a. the co-creator of Judge Dredd, and artist Cam Kennedy, who's known for his work on British comic titles like 2000 AD. And I also encourage, you guys can read anything else you wanted from the Star Wars EU line, but you actually read the full trade paperback, and I wanted to hear your thoughts on it.
It's a pretty easy read. It wasn't too bad, but I just read all of it just because the way they formatted the.
But were you familiar with like John Wagner and Cam Kennedy going in?
I was tangentially. I was like, because it's been a while since I've really dug into some 2000 AD stuff. So I'm like, why does this look familiar? My first reaction to looking at the first few pages, I was like, this looks like a European. I have no.
Same.
It's a weird
Same.
thing. It's like this looks.
I
like
wasn't too familiar with Cam Kennedy,
so
but
like
I had
heavy
same
metal or like a 2000 AD. And then when I saw the, the credits, I'm like, Ah, okay, because I got those as a kid when there was a imprint called Eagle Comics, which would bring in 2080 stuff. They were only around for a couple years, but I would see Rogue Trooper, which Kennedy worked on, and I would see Sam Slade, Robo Hunter, Judge Dredd. I didn't get any of the Judge Dredds, but it was one of those it was when comics were worthless and you could find that shit in like the 10-cent boxes, So it's like had a familiarity to it, but then once I kind of put it all together, it was like, oh, okay, 2080 guys, this is cool. And that weird coloring is kind of a 2080 trademark. Yeah.
Speaking about the art and Cam Kennedy's artwork, especially like that, the line work reminds me a lot of like Neil Adams. Like, dude, the amount of lines he uses, like
I
character
got some
faces.
and like I said, this guy predates all those guys. So, but in our contemporary, to me, it was like I saw some like Kevin O'Neill, even some like Barry Windsor Smith with some of the detail and some of the hatching and that consistent line weight, and with those great, he does a great job with those blacks, solid blacks, like Mignola type thing. And as much as the color kind of distracts a little bit, those garish kind of complementary colors, monochromatic colors. Imagine like if, Dave Stewart colored this, how awesome this would look. Or even black and white with gray washes. I think this would, I don't want to rag too much on the color because I kind of understand, the process and the limits at that time. But man, it's like, it kind of hides some of that beautiful line work he has.
Yeah, I was going to say, I ended up looking up like Cam Kennedy black and white pencil artwork just by itself, and it was like, man, you lose a lot of detail in this particular trade.
It looks like, almost like, because you can see some like, and I don't know if it was a scan of the paper, but you can see it looks almost like marker or a watercolor. So it looks like it's just washes over, and you'll lose some detail because that'll erase some of that, the lines and things like that when you put, paint over it. So
I'll go ahead and add one more thing because I ended up reading this Boba Fett trade as well as another comic series per suggestion from Cesar that Cam Kennedy also did. And I'll say tonally, his style reminds me of like early Milestone comics and specifically the early
Leon?
That'd be a good one. But Dennis Cohen too.
Oh,
like
yeah.
The early
Okay,
Static
okay.
Shock. Like there's something like it's got a certain grit to it.
I think a lot of Cam Kennedy's artwork is for me, when I saw that monochromatic stuff, it reminded me of Steranko. Because he did a lot of that in the Nick Fury stuff, and all the dynamic layouts. I mean,
the layouts
EC luminary Bernard Krigstein comes to mind, like he's freaking great. All of the hard shadows, the seedy characters, the dirty deeds done in a dirty city, it's all very influenced by noir, and noir means black in French. So it's like all those hard shadows, and it goes back to the Steranko school of comics, which is, hey, everything you need to learn to make comics, you learn from movies. I think Ed and I can both agree that Kirby and Wally Wood have a lot of bastard artistic children out there running around,
1,000%.
And I think Cam's just one of them, like you see talented people taking this sort of, again, throwaway entertainment and elevating it into something transcendental.
But to be fair, this guy is like early adapter because, this guy is starting in the 60s.
Sure.
So
then at the same time as Steranko.
So they're almost, he's like right below almost
kind of contemporaries.
Exactly. Yeah. So those guys were still working when he was working.
Yeah.
Right.
In regards to the story, I think you said at the beginning, like they read very easy. There's nothing like very dense. I think he kind of capitalizes on the on what made Boba Fett cool. Very minimal words from him. He's going to be doing some cool stuff. He's always going to have like the one up on everybody.
There's a cinematic quality to it, and what's cool with this too, there's not a ton of splash pages, and I love splash pages. Don't get me wrong. You don't see a lot of talking heads and a lot of splash pages in the whole thing. There's maybe one or two splash pages in the whole, like all of the volumes put together, but there's no static talking heads. Everything is at a cool angle. There's movement on every panel. They have these cool, like long rectangular, almost like widescreen movie, like during like chase scenes and when they're on the vehicles. It's a fast paced, and oh man, the huts are so gross.
Yeah.
So gross.
But I mean, even the bounty on Barracuda was like straight, just kind of Star Wars fun. Boba Fett is hired to go hunt
This
down.
could be an episode of Man.
Hold on.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
define Star Wars fun here, okay? Because that's a nebulous statement. All right. Technically, it's Judge Dredd fun, okay? Because John, look, let's do the list, right?
Yeah.
Have any of you ever seen Judge Dredd's face?
No.
Yeah, okay. Well, at the time,
Does,
nobody
Sylvester
had seen
Stallone
Boba
count?
Fett's face either.
Does
right?
Sly count, bro? Sly?
Right, exactly.
No,
Both are
mask.
characters that are forces of nature that you can't reason with, morally speaking, of course. And, the level of, noir homage in the Boba Fett comics is 100% analogous to the level of satire in the Dredd comics. And I think that's where John Wagner shines. And it's where Cam Kennedy, I think, works well with him because he's good at showing all those blacks and those heavy, weird sort of choices he makes as far as lighting is concerned. It's a great pair up.
Yeah. Even like the grimness of just the conversations with Boba Fett. It's never like there's no light in his talks.
No humor.
Like when he has to hunt down this magician. Which
Oh,
I think
that
it's
guy.
hilarious. That he has to hunt down a magician to lead him to the bigger fish, no pun intended. That is Barracuda. Everything about it is just so grim. Boba Fett, you're either going to go his way or not. And it was just kind of funny to have like a character like this,
and
whimsical.
he almost like leaves the guy after.
Yeah.
He's like, you didn't tell me,
Dude.
You didn't say you were going to leave me
and-
behind. You didn't mention anything about me actually taking you back.
Yeah.
Yep. And and I'm wondering, did Disney pay a check to John Wagner or Cam Kennedy when the Mandalorian said stuff like, I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in cold? Probably
No.
not.
Nah.
Probably not.
We didn't make all this money by writing a lot of checks, see?
Look, I'm being shitty, but at the same time, there's a point I'm trying to make, right?
Yeah.
Like all those cool characters and all these cool character traits that Botter had mentioned earlier. It's like, I didn't know the EU had all of this. People who have been reading this shit for like 20 years plus are completely aware of this shit. And when they see it on the screen in sort of like a weird, either awesome tribute or a watered down tribute,
Yeah.
it's going to be polarizing one way or the other, for sure.
Well, that actually leads me, speaking of having that feeling of like, wait a minute, I think I've seen this before. I decided to take Cesar's suggestion, and I read Star Wars Dark Empire, which came out through Dark Horse Comics in 1991. It was written by Tom Veitch and illustrated by Cam Kennedy. Takes place following the death of Darth Vader and the Emperor at the Battle of Endor, and details the overall the resurrection of Emperor Palpatine in clone bodies. And you see Luke's servitude to the Emperor in hopes of understanding.
Gosh, where have I heard that before? Emperor coming back as a clone. Shit, this is escaping me. It's escapes me.
So he's trying to, understand and conquer the dark side within himself, which is fantastic. From the opening crawl that was in the comic book, which was like a nice touch, to take that cinematic flair and bring it into the comic books, I thought was a nice touch. You had some great shots of the Millennium Falcon, from the get-go, cruising in space. There's that sense of danger and energy in the mission that Han and Leia are initially on. They're married, they have kids, and Luke is dealing with the fallout of the death of his father. It just made me, it was like, damn, like, a lot of the stuff that I found really cool in the new trilogy, I'm looking at the source material for it. It's like, damn.
Imagine if they made those movies instead of the prequels.
Did you know those
what? I was
things were released
thinking
in a magazine form?
Oh no, so they're extra.
I have one of them. Like
That's cool.
They were released by Dark Horse in a large magazine type print, so it felt like a European comic book.
Yeah.
And it was coupled with an Indiana Jones story as well. So you got to read a really cool, weird Star Wars story with artwork and artwork done impeccably well by both my boy Veitch and Kennedy. And you got to read this really cool Indiana Jones story where they took it right back to the weird ass sort of like occult, indies chasing, weird shit, and people were dying, and it's gross, and it's beautiful. It's 100% beautiful.
Yeah, I'll say the Dark Empire stuff that I read. Covers had some great painted covers. I'm pretty sure by Cam Kennedy, but never felt lost. If anything, there was a sense of intrigue and cohesion. Right, all you really needed to know was, did you watch the original trilogy? Well, perfect. This picks up literally, I don't know, maybe a couple of years after the events of Return of the Jedi, but it was so cool to see, like, familiar faces, familiar places. And everything like you love about Star Wars, like the sense of battle and war going on for the betterment. You've had like the light and dark side, and to see like Luke just complete. I mean, he didn't really do much in those first two issues, other than like having existential crisis. But it was just something so cool about seeing all of this play out in comic book form. It's like, damn, not only these amazing movies, but they make for excellent comic books. And when you've got, talent on them, like there's nothing that they can't do with them.
Yeah, and that's such, and I want to kind of retract what I said earlier. I do remember hearing a lot of good things about Shadows of the Empire. That's the one, like, because I had friends who were hardcore fans who could name like every weird alien in the cantina and like the vehicles and stuff like that. And
shout out to my boy Boshek with them badass sideburns.
And that's the direction you have that material there. That's the direction, like me even as a casual fan, that's what I would be more interested in. It's like, because I believe, I don't know if it's this storyline, but people would tell me, it's like, oh yeah, then, Luke ends up on the dark side. He ends up turning eventually. I don't know if that planted the seeds for that, if it happens in that arc, but
it's in there, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, that's the more interesting story rather than Kid Vader. It's like, yeah, that's like, I mean, you already have the material there. It's like, that's, that kind of also, the prequels, and then hearing about just kind of nuggets about that and the direction they went in. I just kind of like, all right, I like the first three. The third one is, half of it's cool, and then the first 2.5 movies are good. And
yeah, look, anytime Star Wars is influenced by the things that aren't Star Wars, it's good.
Yeah.
Anytime Star Wars is influenced by Star Wars, it's shit. I mean, you can really count on your hands at how many good properties there are, and then you could be like, oh fuck, yeah, that dude. You could watch an episode of Rebels and be like, oh fuck, this is a really good episode. Oh shit, they're doing a tribute to Jaws. Who thought they could take Jaws and put it in the Star Wars universe? Some really smart guy did, or gal. And you could look at fucking The Mandalorian and look at the first episode of season 2 and be like, God damn it, this music fucking slaps. And it's very much like an Ennio Morricone score. And it's 100% like the Mando is literally riding on a steel horse and ride, like fucking right into town on a fucking speeder bike. Like he's the new, like, well, hey there, Pilgrim, you don't look like you're from around here.
Yeah, he's like John Wayne, Clint Eastwood rolling up. Yeah, 100%.
Right. Like, it's not influenced by Star Wars. So it's like you got all these people that say, hey, I want to play around and I want to do this in this world. It's probably going to be good. And that's what
cool.
the EU is, man.
And you're 100% right, because it's like you're influenced by the influences.
Right.
You're not, that makes perfect sense. That's why I think, The Mandalorian works so well, because it's like, what inspired this? Not this, but what was the inspiration for this? Like spaghetti westerns and things like that.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yes.
And that's what's good about the EU. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. Let's bring it back. Like, this is some good shit. Barter wanted to talk about
Marvel Unlimited.
I can't. Yeah, hey, I can't talk shit because I have the Marvel Unlimited app, man.
And Ed, I was right there with you, like learning. Not only are you talking about 30, 40 years of just comic book lore, but then I went down a rabbit hole of like, what are some of the best, at least like, what does the internet recommend as far as novels, and I went down a rabbit hole of like, well, do you want to learn about like, the rise of the Jedis, or are you interested in the dark side, which I was, and I went down like a rabbit hole of like Darth Bane and Darth Plagueis, like characters that I've only heard in passing. But, it's like, oh, they've got, a trilogy, like 3 books detailing this backstory in an immersive world.
I can't do novels. I can't do Star Wars without pictures.
Well, I'll say, and normally,
there's a reason. There's a fucking reason.
Normally, I'd agree with you, but a lot of these books sound interesting that I would probably maybe dive into some of those.
Barter's like, yo, is there a Darth Jay-Z? So I'm totally on board.
But, I look at like how I get excited when the MCU, whether for fan service, Easter eggs, or even just like making a movie or show, like will incorporate certain characters. You get hype. It's like, oh shit, they're doing a movie, or they gave us a show about, or movie about Guardians of the Galaxy, even though there's, hundreds of comic books to reference. You get excited about the inclusion of these characters in live action. And I guess I could see that now for like, why the Star Wars fans that I know that are diehards get so excited when a character is name dropped or mentioned, because they've had this many years of content and lore that they followed as well. So I kind of give them a break in the sense of like, yeah, you guys can get excited about seeing something live action kind of pop up. But to C's point, it's like I hope that it's more than just a cash grab or whatnot.
I'm not trying to be a downer, but it's so obvious when it is, because it's not as good. And people are like, oh, you fucking just sort of one of those guys who are like, you only like the originals, and that's the only good Star Wars there is because you're fucking a gatekeeper. You're a fucking gatekeeper. No, I'm not. I fucking like new shit. Give me a fucking break. I just can smell the fucking chili when it's being made in the kitchen. And when I see it, hey, guys, if you're a Star Wars fan, smash that like button because Andor is coming your way. Aren't you excited about Cassian Andor? Wasn't he such an interesting, cool, provocative character? No one was in fucking Rogue One. They were fucking dour and just disgusting. Disgusting. Who gives a shit? All right. Obi-Wan? There might be some meat left on that bone. Maybe
Why are you hitting the
creative
desert for all
person
that time?
might jump in there and decide to make the best samurai, TV show we've ever seen. We got the best fucking gunslinger from the East / meets the West with the Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. Maybe someone will fucking write Obi-Wan like he's a disgraced Ronin. Who knows?
I've got a sidebar real quick, just kind of talking about other books we've read, and then we'll end.
And I'm going to drop a Quaalude in C's drink, and maybe he'll calm down.
I ended up reading the Star Wars, the Marvel Comics Star Wars issue. I think it was like 80-81. I'm trying to pull it up, where because I was curious, when does Boba Fett come back in the EU? And the earliest example I could find was in the original Star Wars comic book series. I think it was, like I said, issue 81, 80, where he comes back for one issue. He escapes the Sarlacc pit, and it follows for a few beats similar to the episode 1 of Book of Boba Fett, where he escapes the Sarlacc pit. The Jawas end up finding him, pull him out. They're robbing him of his stuff, but they actually bring him on their little
sandcrawler.
Yeah, sandcrawler. Well, at the same time, Han and Leia also visit, I think, the same planet as well on another mission. And Boba Fett wakes up and he's kind of like he's amnesic. He forgets. He doesn't know where he's at. He sees Han Solo, and he's like, "Wait a minute, I think I know." Lack of better terms, he's like, "I think I know you." And the story ends with the same way he dies. Like, he gets bumped right back. No, the sandcrawler falls right back into the Sarlacc pit, and it is so like whap whap. Yeah, and it was issue 81 from 84. It was written by Joe Duffy, art by Ron Frenz, which was kind of cool to see. Some Ron Frenz art.
Classic.
But it is super comical. It is like super cheesy. Boba Fett's alive for a little bit, doesn't do anything badass, falls right back into the Sarlacc pit. Crazy.
He falls back in.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like whap whap. You thought.
Just the lyrics of Regulate went through my head when the Jawas were taking all his shit.
Yeah.
They took my rings. They took my Rolex. Looked at the brother, said, "Damn, what's next?"
That's funny.
It was a cold black day on Tatooine.
Oh no!
Then Jawa's stupid ass tried to
Get your brother on this
me.
song. This is gonna be the next single. Short box singles.
Fucking Boba Fett dog. I took this fly girl with my jetpack style. She said, "Ooh, I like your fly." Sorry, I can't stop. Ed, that's a fucking too good of an idea.
Pretty good one.
Jesus Christ.
See, what would you recommend?
Oh my God.
What, as far as EU stuff?
Yeah, where people can go next. If they had to dive into the EU or Star Wars Legends, where would you point them? Where's some titles?
Aside from what we suggested, all three Cam Kennedy, John Wagner, Boba Fett. Let's do the list, all right? My boy Beach and Cam Kennedy doing Dark Empire. Good shit there. I would recommend, if you like that more good shit like that, the Star Wars Dark Times Blue Harvest. It's all collected in a trade. You can find it. It's pretty easy. And if Marvel owns it, then it should be on the Marvel Unlimited app. Your local comic book shop should have no problem ordering you a copy or a trade of some kind. It's a good one.
Is Marvel reprinting those like in physically?
Dude, I think they are.
Did they license that out to? They license it back out to Dark Horse. Publish their own shit.
No.
Yeah, that's a chess move. That's a, wait.
That's a power move right there.
I have the high ground.
So, all kidding aside, I saw, and kidding implied, I saw a meme that said, since Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, is a PG-13 movie, then they could get away with putting one fuck in there. And they chose that, with that clip you keep playing, Vodder, is a meme of Obi-Wan standing on that fucking side of the lava going, I have the fucking high ground.
I thought it'd be Vader saying fuck after his legs and arms get chopped off.
Fuck!
Fuck, my arms.
Hey, real quick,
you know what? I'm going to build a castle here. This looks nice.
This is nice real estate. What is this?
I'll go ahead and jump in with some recommendations. More so, these are from the newer Star Wars stuff that Marvel was putting out. There was some gems in the fucking 40+ titles they were putting out once they got the cash cow. But the two that stand out that I'd recommend is the 2018 Star Wars Thrawn series by Jodie Hauser. She did the Rogue One adaptation. It's drawn by Luke Ross, who did a few Star Wars adaptations, but essentially a comic adaptation of Timothy Zahn's New York Times best-selling novel about Thrawn's rise in the Imperial ranks. 6 issues, really short, but really good. And then I'll also recommend the 2017 Darth Vader series written by Charles Soule, art by my boy Giuseppe Camuncoli. It ran for 25 issues, and it was absolutely it was my favorite title to pull at that time. Like, I trimmed a lot of comics for my pull list around that time, but the Darth Vader series stayed on.
Why? Let me ask you this. Why?
Oh, art was fantastic, first of all.
Okay.
And it was just fun. Like, I didn't feel lost. I didn't feel like I needed to invest into more, titles and lore. It stood out on its own, and it was like Darth Vader being a complete badass. It was written in, in the present at that moment. Darth Vader kind of like coming to grips of like who he's become and what he has to do, So
human issues, essentially, that we all go through. That, if anyone is good at writing, they can kind of shape that into something that, hey, I don't know, the last 25 fucking issues of a comic book.
I mean, human issues for your punk ass, not me.
Oh. Yo.
I'm kidding. Ed, do you want to add anything to the recommendations before we move on?
Bro, you cut my arms off.
Fuck!
That hurt. This sucks. This fucking sucks. I got no legs. I would recommend the Dark Horse comic that we just read. It's Boba Fett. And there is a crossover, which is collected into a trade. And it's been a while since I read it, but I remember I enjoyed it because it's Darth Vader kicking a lot of ass, like you said, with Vader that in a prequel that we would want to see. Darth Vader at full strength. It's a Vader Down, which is a crossover. I think Mike Deodato Jr. drew it.
Ooh.
I did read. Yeah. This was like one of the early ones that came out.
Yeah, so that one is cool. If it's just something really cool that you get to see Darth Vader, like, as shooting down X-Wings, like just taking on armies by, it's really just to see him at full power and what we never got to see cinematically. It's a cool visual, fun stuff. So.
And I apologize. Writers were Jason Aaron, Karen Gillan. You're right. It was Mike Deodato, and then Salvador LaRocca did a lot of that art too. Really,
really good art. Just you get to see like Darth Vader shoot down a bunch of X-Wings by himself and see him. Yeah, it's almost like Sauron, just wiping out fools left and right. It's great.
I think there's an issue of that series, of the 2017 series that I was talking about, because my series came out right after that Kieran Gillen one.
Yeah.
But there was an issue where we essentially got the Rogue One scene of Darth Vader that everyone loved, in comic book form, and it was like
scene.
and people were sharing that around like it was a meme in itself. It was like such a cool issue. All right, well, Shortbox Nation, I'm gonna turn the tables on you and ask for you to chime into the conversation and tell us what you know about the expanded universe, or how you were introduced to the Star Wars comics, or even feel free to share a recommendation for us to check out. Do so by writing us a short email to read next episode. I'll even sweeten the deal and offer up a copy. Let me grab it right here for all of our folks tuning in video-wise. I'll even offer up a copy of the Star Wars Clone Wars, the official collector's edition magazine. This is the Ahsoka Gotham City Limit exclusive variant. I swear, Ben's gonna have an exclusive variant cover to your baby's birth certificate.
Yo,
guarantee.
He will, and it's good Star Wars too, guys. Come on.
Yeah, so I'll give this up to one lucky listener who emails us. We'll pick someone on our next episode. So get to writing and send your email to theshortboxjacks@gmail.com. We're gonna move on to our first regular recurring segment, Fistful of Comics. So it's time to make a choice, Shortbox Nation. If you're new to the show, just know you've only got 2 choices to choose from.
You can either have a mouthful of tea or a fistful of comics.
The The third option that you don't hear is that your arms get fucking cut off. So go with Fistful of Comics. Fistful of Comics is the part of the show dedicated to all you Wednesday warriors who loyally frequent your local shops every week. Think of this as a show and tell, highlighting only the best new comics on the shelves right now. This segment is brought to you by Gotham City Limit, Jacksonville's premier shop for comics, toys, collectibles, and more. If you live in the area or ever find yourself passing through Jacksonville, stop by the shop on Southside Boulevard and tell them the Short Box sent you. I also want to go ahead and wish them a happy 4th anniversary. They turned 4 years old today, so big shout-outs to the Gotham City Limit crew. Big shout-outs to Ben Kingsbury as well.
Kingsbury?
Kingsbury. Before we read off Ben's list, Ed, how about you tell us what's your favorite comic on the shelves right now?
So,
Is it Immortal Hulk?
It's Immortal Hulk. I finally read it.
It's a retro pick, even though it's a month old.
So I don't have anything new, but I have a new trade, if that works.
Yeah, that works.
And I'm going to recommend Daniel Warren Johnson's
hold it up to the camera, Ed.
Beta Ray Bill.
God. Oh, dude, I've been wanting to read that.
The trade is out. It is awesome. There's a foreword by Donnie Cates. You know why? Because there's a big-ass sword in it. That's why. He's got to write for this. It's like, damn it, why didn't I think of that? But it's basically his Storm... Is it Stormbreaker?
Yeah, Stormbreaker.
Stormbreaker is destroyed, and that leaves Beta Ray Bill less powerful than he was, so he's wanting to get his groove back. This is basically the...
Yes,
story.
it is. That's a well said. Yes.
And so his new weapon is Surtur's sword, the big fire demon that we all know and love. And this thing is great. If you like Wonder Woman, Dead Earth, it's not. I love that more than this, but this is still fantastic.
Murder Falcon.
Yeah, his stuff is great. And Beta Ray Bill's, and as a wrestling fan, Beta Ray Bill is threw in at least 3 or 4 wrestling moves in here. Wrestling fans will know this. A Rainmaker. A V-Trigger, and a One-Winged Angel. So you guys can look those up. And there's like some suplexes and stuff in there.
No Boston Crabs?
No submission holds. This is all strikes, man. No submissions. And you guys need to see this. This is one of my favorite splash pages. Fin Fang Foom. This the first fight.
First issue.
This splash page is Kirby love right here. This is incredible. He fights Fin Fang Foom in like the first issue or 2, and he fights Surtur at the end. So this thing is a blast to read. The visuals are incredible. It's a fun story. I always liked Beta Ray Bill. I thought he's really cool, weird horse-looking guy.
Yeah.
Can't explain what Walt Simonson was thinking when he made this guy up.
No one can.
It's crazy. I've always liked him. Even as a kid, I saw this. Oh, this guy's awesome.
Can we just petition, though, that going forward, all Daniel Warren Johnson trades and collected editions should just be printed as library editions?
This should be,
it should be much bigger.
Like the Wonder Woman Dead Earth trade, the hardcover. Yeah. I'm sure they will. I love it. Like I said, it's a 2001 series, 5 issues, 5 or 6 issues. But the trade just came out this last month, and I picked it up, and it's probably one of my favorites of 2021. So
hell yeah.
Definitely pick that up.
Solid pick, Ed. Thank you. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and move on and share a list of 3 comics you won't want to miss out this month. I asked our good friend Ben Kingsbury, the owner of Gotham City Limit Comic Shop, to provide this list. So let's cue up the music and see what he's got to recommend for us. All right. First up is Monkey Prince #1 from DC Comics. It's written by Jin Luen Yang and art by Bernard Chang. It'll introduce a new hero in the DCU, a character with the confidence to proclaim himself better than all the other DC heroes combined. Ben writes, the Monkey Prince is bringing the pain in 2022 come February 1st.
Oh my.
Number 2, provocative. It gets the people going. Number 2 on his list is called Land of Living Gods. Number 1. Ben poses an existential question for this one. He writes, are the sayings true about what happens to our spirits when we die? Will the last days of humanity take place in this new #1 from Aftershock Comics? And we're going to find out February 2nd. It's written by South African writer and producer Isaac Mogajane and Brazilian artist Santo. And last but not least is one from Marvel Comics called Maestro, World of M, #1 of 5. It's the final chapter of the Maestro trilogy, Maestro being an evil version of the Hulk from an alternate future where he's driven mad due to absorbing an excessive amount of extra radiation. This new series will find Maestro waging war against the combined forces of the Abomination, Namor, and Doctor Doom. It's being written by the creator of the Maestro character and overall Hulk writing legend, Peter David, with art by Pascal Ferry. The first issue will be in shops on February 9th. So once again,
I just imagine Hulk versus the player haters ball.
I'd pay for that.
Oh, they're all dressed in pimp suits, like Abomination and Namor.
Or fucking Namor jumps out of the fucking water and goes, Dylon, Dylon, Dylon.
Just to read Hulk say "I'm rich, bitch" would be fantastic. Rich, bitch. Once again, those 3 titles recommended to you by Ben Kingsbury over at Gotham City Limit Comic Shop were Monkey Prince #1 from DC Comics, Land of Living Gods #1, and Maestro World War M. Most of those will come out first week of February. So put those titles.
You said Monkey Prince is from DC.
Yeah, and I mean the cover. I mean it's clearly a homage or rip of the classic story.
Oh, okay. It's like, how many monkey ape characters does DC have? Is Gorilla Grodd in this? Or Detective Chimp? Was that his name? The one that dressed like Sherlock Holmes?
Dang. That'd be a hell of a team up.
Deep cuts.
Yeah. So put those titles on your pull list next time you're at your comic shop, especially if you don't want to miss out. We're going to go on a short music break before we read this week's email and share our champion picks. Mecca the Marvelous, one half of our music team, is providing this week's music. It's providing this week's music. It's an instrumental off his latest project, A Store on the West Side. Now available everywhere you listen to music. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back to business. All right, Short Box Nation. The music you just heard was by Mecca the Marvelous. Check out his new project, A Store on the West Side, now available on Spotify and Apple Music. I've got a link to his Bandcamp and other places. You can check out his music in the show notes as well. It is time to read some emails. We got one email from our boy T-Mix that I've been waiting to get around to. C, I'll let you do the honors, man. Go ahead and read his email for us.
All right. This is from our homie T-Mix. Subject is Spider-Man No Way Home. And he starts the email off with, Yo! What
strong intro.
Wow. Short Box. It took long enough, but the MCU finally got a good Spider-Man movie. Amen, brother. Third time's the charm. Makes you wonder how good Amazing Spider-Man 2 could have been if the director would have taken Feige's notes to heart. That said, I thought Andrew Garfield was phenomenal. He stole all the scenes. Couldn't agree with you more, bud.
Good.
Garfield's Spidey was always my favorite, so it was great to see his character get redemption and perhaps some closure, having saved MJ. Best scene in my opinion, next to Charlie Cox showing up.
Yes, that's good too.
Still, the best part of the movie overall for me was Green Goblin. Defoe is a master of his craft to so easily slip between Norman and Goblin with just a facial expression. Probably the best MCU villain with Killmonger. The first fight with Holland, where the guy's getting punched in the face and he's just smiling and laughing. Joker vibes for sure. As far as geek out moments, I agree with y'all. Seeing Charlie Cox was great. Then, for sure, both Garfield and Tobey's entrances. The Spider-Man pointing meme inclusion was great, and the mid-credit scene with Tom Hardy. Surprised y'all didn't mention it, because now Venom's in the MCU, and we don't have to mention it.
No, I was about to say the same thing. Like, there's a reason.
Also, having the scene with the Morbius trailer ahead of No Way Home makes me wonder how it's connected as Vulture shows up. Should be good. 2 champions for this week: Season 4 of Cobra Kai and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Hasta próxima, putos. And barter. T-Mix.
You know, I read his emails, and by the end, I'm always like, why is he so mad?
You know, it's funny. He said, until next time, fuckers, and barter, T-Mix, which means he included Ashley in that statement as well.
Yay!
And that somehow Botter gets a pass for not being a fucker.
Come on, baby, because he knows the truth. Like I said in the intro, by the time you're done, you're gonna realize I'm the best host on here. But anyways,
Jesus Christ, smelling like a rose, Botter Milligan.
I won't lie. When I seen that Tom Hardy end credit scene, a part of me was relieved that I wouldn't have to see him in Venom anymore. Because I don't know, Venom literally just kind of rubs me the wrong way. Like it's just, I don't know.
Do you want to know why?
That comedic route they go with him
since
is
the 90s.
Weird.
And when I say the 90s, I mean
Take it
like
back to the
1990.
90s.
Like literally 1989 and 1990, and that's it. This whole lethal protector bullshit is good. Is not going to work.
Remender wrote a really solid Venom story. Really
Dude,
solid.
Let me ask you this:
Yes.
Venom as a character, is he cooler when he's acting like fucking Robert De Niro in Cape Fear, or is he cooler when he's just like, we need to eat chocolate, and by the way, we're every 90s character rolled into one because we're badass Spider-Man. We're Spider-Man with boots on.
The Cape Fear one? Is that the right answer?
Yeah, I just raised my hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Fear one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And big shout outs to the animated version as well. Which
is the Cape Fear version.
If anyone has the Marvel Legends retro Venom figure that came out that I missed out on, that's going for about $100 online.
Listeners, don't
mean a lot to me.
Feed
if you
Botters.
Could reach out.
Do not feed his addiction and give it to me because I'm the one that needs it and not Botters.
I have the high ground.
So I have the high ground.
He's out of a whole house to fill up with crap.
Oh, shit.
Oh God, I already have it filled up with so many Marvel Legends.
Real quick, Ed, I don't think we've heard you. Have you seen the movie? Have you seen No Way Home? Okay, so we haven't had a chance to get your opinion on the record. Do you want to share a few words about what you thought about No Way Home?
It was okay.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
He's allowed to say it's okay.
I know, you're right. He's allowed to say wrong stuff on the show.
I say it all the time.
It's okay. It's
my trademark.
You know what? Honestly, in my opinion, it was good. It was good. I'll just say that. It was good. I loved it.
To be serious, I did really like it. I thought they juggled all those characters because they don't have a history of juggling more than one villain in a movie.
That's what I was worried about first.
There was what surprised me, I guess, was and it was like a real Spider-Man movie because there's so much empathy in this movie for the villains. It wasn't just, I thought it would be more slugfest because I figured that they would go that route just because, people want to see that. But the amount of empathy shown in this and the chemistry between all three Spider-Men, yeah. And like I said, there's such great scenes in the movie. I actually made it without having to go to the bathroom.
Wow.
Damn, you should win a reward.
Oh my God.
They should give you free movies for life at that point.
Kidneys will fail this year. But I thought it was like, I think it is the best MCU Spider-Man movie. And I liked at least, it was funny because when I was watching it, I thought the guy who played, Sandman and Lizard, it's like, oh, these guys don't even have to show up on set. They're just CG the whole time.
That's the status I want to get to. Is just being able to, just show up for a little bit.
I was Lowell on wings. I don't have to show up for this shit.
Like Alex Ross status, where it's just like, I'll just draw a cover.
Yeah. Pages.
Well, they did less than that, equivocally.
Don't you have other people to do that kind of stuff? But I'd really like, and how they balanced it, and with working the magic with Doctor Strange, and just him just fucking up the spells by running his mouth while Doctor Strange is trying to
I didn't know the spells could be broken that way.
Pull his realities together, and that kind of bittersweet ending where he's just totally forgotten. Not just that he's Spider-Man, but nobody knows who this guy is at all. He is like,
on Christmas too.
On Christmas,
yo, motherfucker had to get his GED on Christmas.
Yeah, he's getting his GED.
What?
Oh, Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas, Spider-Man. You fucked up.
But I like seeing that the villains weren't one note. There was some depth, as much as you can, juggling all those characters. It wasn't just you had the extreme with with the Joker, with William Dafoe chewing up every scene he was in, which is great. But you can't have everybody doing that. Yeah. Like you have everyone else seemed pretty. I like to see the redemption of Dr. Octopus, because he went mad due to that accident. He wasn't like a villain, really. Mm-hmm. The accident kind of lost his
wife and all that.
Yeah,
and his mind.
And him coming back, because I like that guy as an actor. He's a great actor.
Andre Molino.
Yeah, and even the Sandman at first is like, what's going on?
Alfred.
Sorry,
Alfred Molina.
I keep saying Andrew.
just him is like just the, you know, that blue, what I like about the Sandman, just a regular Joe that just had some bad times, you know, could go on either way. So yeah, I thought they did a excellent job, and I'm guessing that's that what if, because basically that post credits was like a trailer for the Doctor Strange movie. Yeah, you know, the post credits. So I don't know if they're
they were like we don't have no post credits. Shit, just throw a fucking trailer at the end.
I wish I knew that. Could have went to the bathroom a half hour sooner. But I don't know if it looks like they're taking off of that what if episode.
Yeah,
you know, it was a great movie. I really enjoyed it. I had high expectations, and I think it really met them, if not exceeded them. So I thought it was a really good movie.
Well said. Thank you so much, Ed.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to joke and say that Peter, on the topic of his GED, Peter Parker was on his way to becoming the next Tony Stark and getting admitted into MIT. And then had to go hang out with Warren G and get his GED by the end of the movie. Damn it, man.
Warren GED.
Oh, the fall from grace. Well, look, T-Mix, I want to say thank you so much for sending an email and helping us kickstart the new year off right. For everyone else, we'd love to have some more emails to read next week and next episode. So feel free to share your thoughts, recommendations. Write us something short and sweet. Send it to our inbox at theshortboxjacks@gmail.com. We'll read it next week. Actually, before I segue, I've got, I've only done one shameless plug this episode. Why not go ahead and start off the second half with another shameless plug? Because I want to, it's something important. I feel like, more people should be checking this out. And that is the trailer for our upcoming documentary short film, Faceless and Famous, The Rise of the Short Box Podcast. It's a short documentary movie that will celebrate us, the galaxy's best.
Fitting tribute to us.
The galaxy's best comic podcast, if I do say so myself, with behind-the-scenes stories and interviews with the crew, past and present, that made this show possible these last 9 going on 10 years.
Oh, my God.
We've got the trailer on our YouTube. I'll have a link to that in our show notes.
Oh, nice.
Check it out, because Cesar worked hours and weeks and months for free on it. And
hold on now. Wait a second. Hold on. So you ain't gonna Star Wars expanded universe my ass. All right, let's calm down. You've been taking too many lessons from your homeboy Disney Stan Lee.
Oh my God, dude! I thought you were gonna say you're not gonna Jack Kirby my ass, but that was even better. I love the topic.
Nah, son.
But look, bro, we'd love for you guys to check out the trailer for the documentary. Let us know what you think. I'll have a link to that. It's on our YouTube, but I'll have a link to that to make it easy for you guys in our show notes. Yeah. With that being said, it's now time to champion some great entertainment from across the larger pop culture universe, to not only include comic books, but movies, TV shows, books, and everything else. So kids, grab your coins, because only the best of the best get talked about in this last segment.
Champion Season.
Champion Season is the part of the show where we highlight other worthwhile entertainment and recommendations that we feel deserves your attention. These can be much more than comics, but include movie picks, TV series, books, or video games, and anything else that we're hyped on this week. This segment is brought to you by Black Hive Tattoo, Jacksonville's premier appointment-only custom tattoo studio. If you're searching for a group of talented artists who will work with you to bring your comic culture ideas to life, then look no further. Go to blackhive.tattoo.com and sign up for their newsletter to find out when they're taking new project requests. It'd probably be best to do that now, because it's at top of the year and they fill up very fast. So check them out, all right? I'll go to you, man, to kick us off. Okay. What are you going to champion today?
So 2 things. One, I'm going to champion Dayquil.
Shout out to Dayquil. No, for real.
Shout out to Dayquil. And all the Vicks homies, and all the
variants.
All the fucking members of the clique. I got your back, Vicks Vapor Rub, fucking Dayquil. Shout out to my homegirl NyQuil. She kept me up all night with that sweet drowsiness. Now, all kidding aside, I'm gonna say this is obviously on topic, but I've just been revisiting all of the Stan Lee, Steve Ditko Spider-Man stories, man. After watching Spider-Man No Way Home, I've been fucking just combing through all that old shit and just enjoying all of it, like out the jump, like how good Spider-Man was. And,
have you seen that Taschen collection? The Taschen
box? Oh,
I've $200.
I've seen it. But look, man, to be honest,
or you get the $600 one.
The Taschen collection doesn't really do more for me than the original Amazing Fantasy Omnibus that Marvel put out.
Enough. Okay, if you have that.
Because Attachment just more or less has sort of like, here's a smattering of Spider-Man stories and a smattering of some other stuff. And it's just like...
I think this is several issues, though. This is like the first 30 issues or something.
And for the same price, you could get a hardcover, full-on 50-issue omnibus of the OG Amazing Spider-Man run. That was my point, is that I thought about buying it, and I was like, not worth my money.
And if omnibuses weren't already kind of difficult to read, them Taschen books are impossible to enjoy practically.
You have to get clamps.
You're right.
Clamp the sides of the table to hold the pages
down. So those old books. And believe it or not, I got my hands on a trade of Red Room.
Oh,
my God!
Nice.
What
do you think?
What the fuck am I reading?
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's wonderful.
Yeah,
it's fucking gnarly. I don't want to say anything because if you haven't experienced, I know you've championed it before, Ed. If you haven't gotten into Red Room, first off, if you're a child. For God's sakes, don't get into Red Room.
It's a not for everyone title.
No, yeah, if you're an adult, don't get into Red Room. You're too young.
It's one of those crazy like surprise hits because I started listening to the kayfabe guys, Ed Piskor and Jim Rugg, friend of the show, Jim Rugg, and
friend of the show, James Rugg. Yes.
And it was all process stuff, and he's working on it, and it became like one of Fantagraphics' biggest hits in a long time. And like I said, and just for the subject matter and how graphic it is and how it's a nod to EC, but definitely more intense, ramped up with the gore.
Yeah. It get everything though. You get EC, you get fucking Love and Rockets if that's possible.
Oh, they're
you
big
get all of
Hernandez brothers fans.
Yeah, like really, really delicious Piskorisms, if you will.
Yeah, and it's and I'm not usually a big gore guy, but it's silly enough and over the top enough to where it's comical. It's not it's not like a torture porn, which I originally thought until I got that first issue. It wasn't as torture. It is intense, and I don't, like I said, this isn't something I recommend to everybody. It's if you're kind of a fan of this, the horror genre and a fan of EC comics and kind of want to see a modern twist to it.
Yeah.
Definitely check it out.
Yeah, this isn't a, hey, Mom.
Yeah.
Comics?
Yeah. You don't bring this comic home to Mom.
Yeah.
Dad.
You're not going to be able to check this out at your local library.
No.
We ain't talking about the kids in Riverdale, okay? This ain't Archie's. This is fucking the real shit. This is gnarly. This is outlaw comics. If you want,
it's super outlaw.
If you want this shit, then fucking...
Just because I just got the trade the other day myself. And yeah, it's cool because he adds, those guys are big process guys. So you get to see like the layouts and thumbnails. And if you're interested in that stuff, it's cool to get that trade.
You know what? It's funny because we're both doing a lot of like very, very eloquent tap dancing around the story, which is perfect because I don't like spoiling things, on Champion Season. But this is one of those things that you can get lost in a lot of the process stuff in this comic, aside from the story, which is good, but it's like, if you like comics and you like how they're made and you like knowing about how they're made, this is definitely the book for you, for sure. I mean, show Ed some love. He's good at what he does, and I think he really shines in this book.
Ed, what about you, man? What do you got to champion?
I'm going to champion something. We all heard the news of George Perez, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
So,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So without going into too much detail, I'm going to champion the fact that his attitude towards dealing with this, he's just going to he's not going to deal with the medical system. He's going to basically live his life, spend the rest of his time with his family. And the fact that he gets to see all the love. Yeah. He gets to see that.
Hey, real quick, because I think it'd be worthy to at least mention what the announcement was for anyone that's not aware.
There was an announcement not too long ago, maybe a month or so ago. He has a stage 3 pancreatic cancer. So they gave him, I think, 6 months or so to live.
Crazy.
So, and it's sad because anybody who's been to any conventions and who has, even just, went to him for a signing. He's a great guy.
Dude, it could not happen to a nicer guy.
He's universally loved. He's not a polarizing character like a Byrne or a McFarlane or Liefeld. Everybody loves this guy. It's across the board. No one has anything really negative to say about him. But the fact that he gets to kind of enjoy this he gets
to smell the flowers while he's still alive.
Exactly. Yeah. And the tragedy behind everything, but the fact that he gets to see his impact, in his lifetime, And,
too often right? Like it's what Vincent Van Gogh never got a chance to see.
He sold one painting his entire life.
Right. Like how much he's appreciated now.
Yeah.
And George Perez, unfortunately, due to the circumstances surrounding it, at least gets to see tons of people
and
come out of the woodwork and say,
as much as I love,
George, you're awesome.
I love Wally Wood, but he, shot himself and he was almost destitute. Right. But his impact and his legacy is fantastic. But, Perez, basically he was able to, succeed, and he got in at the right time where he could see those royalties come in. He could see his impact. He's had a prolific career. He's arguably one of the best of all time.
For sure.
He's in the conversation. But, I'm just going to champion the fact that his attitude towards it is as positive as you can be. And just the fact that everybody gets to tribute him, before his, inevitable passing. But, I was on the fence about championing this because it's a weird thing.
I feel silly that I didn't, have it down as a topic, but I appreciate you bringing it up.
Yeah, it's just, and like I said, he's going to have a final signing, but it's going to be just kind of like a private, thing set up. But like I said, it's just, it was sad, man. I was like, it's one of those things that really hit me when I saw the news. I think my friend texted it to me at work, and I was like, come on, man.
You almost get mad at them for giving you this update, but it's important, right?
It's not even lunch yet, and you're bumming me out with this shit. So it's so I just want to champion his him, his career, his attitude, his outlook. By everything I've read, great human being, fantastic artist. More importantly, he's a fantastic, human being. So I just thought that was, like I said, that really affected me. And like I said, I know we all love him, as an artist. And, like I said, I definitely recommend champion anything he's ever done. He can just go down the list. It's, I would say my favorite era is his probably kind of Teen Titans era. George Perez, that's when I thought that was at his best. But like I said, it's, that's all I have to say. Sorry, I don't know how else to end that. That one.
No. Look, we did an artist spotlight on George Perez. I think it was episode 263, and the subtitle for it was "The Nice Guy." Yeah, you know what I mean. It just goes to testament that before any of this went down, he's known as the nice guy. He's the nice guy, So you don't want to see bad things happen to nice people, right? Yep. But you definitely want to make sure they're appreciated 100%. And you shouldn't feel weird about that at all, dude.
And I just want
more love for George Perez is a good thing.
Yeah. And I want to, there's I've been listening to the Rob Liefeld podcasts because they're very, very funny, but he has a fantastic, tribute episode to George Perez. Cause he was basically, before he was into comics, he was kind of like his gopher for when George Perez would come out to California and do shows. He was kind of did errands and stuff for him. So they have a long relationship, since before Liefeld even got to come. So, and Liefeld, he likes to throw that shade. So, but the fact that, but he's kind of, he does it in a way that he's so jovial, and he's such a charismatic guy. He'll throw shade, but you won't think about it until later.
It's like, wait a minute, was he talking shit?
Yeah, especially with Todd. He does the Todd voice. See, you got to hear it.
That's wonderful.
It's hilarious.
I want to hear it.
He does it. There's he does this thing. He's like, oh yeah, the Yell Boys, bud. You guys are the Yell Boys. Ron Lim, Liefeld, Lee, the Yell Boys. Yeah, the Yell Boys.
That's awesome.
And I thought It's like, did C listen to his podcast? But he just started this thing, so
C. So it was
you
Rob.
predate him.
It was Rob listening to us.
Well, he did do that.
I'm a
man.
fucking luminary, guys. Just so you know.
But if you want to hear like a kind of nice overview of his career by someone who knew him for 30 years or so, and like I said, it's a nice tribute to him. So I'd recommend that.
Good stuff. Thank you for bringing that up, Ed. I really appreciate it. And for our listeners, get familiar with George Perez if you aren't, and if you need our help to get familiar, like C was saying, we did a artist spotlight on episode 263. That was our 9th artist spotlight among all of them. I'll go ahead and champion something that is a little old considering that Christmas has passed us, but we're still within that 30-day kind of range, and that is 8-Bit Christmas.
Oh, dude!
Yeah. It's
I thought he was gonna be like, I want to champion something. It's just beyond our range. But I'm just gonna do it. Our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Oh no!
8-Bit Christmas. I think it was only on HBO Max, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's an HBO Max.
Okay. Maybe it's everywhere else, but HBO Max. It takes place in the 1980 Chicago. It's centered on a 10-year-old named Jake Doyle, who, along with his crew of school friends, embark on a quest to get the latest and greatest video game system, a Nintendo, for Christmas. It's directed by Michael Dowse and stars child actor Winslow Fegley. Neil Patrick Harris is in it. Steve Zahn. June Diane Raphael. And a whole bunch
she's
more.
How did this get made? She's Paul.
She's Paul Shear's wife. How is that possible?
I know, Paul. What are you packing down there, bro?
Oh my god!
Maybe he's got a good sense of comedy.
I guess
she
women
does
do
too, though.
I guess sense of humor is important to women because he definitely
He's lacking on the look department. I know what you're
he's
saying.
A goofy looking guy. He's funny.
For
sure. But she's gorgeous.
8-Bit Christmas has easily become a new holiday favorite, and it'll be a part of my regular lineup of Christmas movies I watch. It is so heartfelt and
dude, try not crying. If you don't cry by the end of that movie,
boy, come
you're
on,
a fucking
man.
piece of shit.
Straight up, great during the Christmas time, I'm sure, but even if you're just in the mood for a feel-good coming-of-age story movie, I recommend just giving it a watch, man. 8-Bit
There's a lot
Christmas.
of good message in that movie. A lot of good message.
Oh, so you saw it too?
Oh, dude, we've seen it probably 3 times during the season. Like, Sarah and I were like, yo, let's watch 8-Bit Christmas again. We want to cry.
Oh, wow.
So...
Yeah, Ed,
but it's funny too. Like,
love it, man.
Ed, have you haven't seen it?
No, I don't have
I think
HBO
Ed would
Max.
love it, right?
Okay,
I'm not
find
rich like
someone
you
that
guys.
has it and watch it, dude, because it speaks to our experience, man.
Okay.
Ed, you and I are old enough to
that's
probably
true.
be about the same age as Neil Patrick Harris's character is.
Okay, yeah, Nintendo was a big deal.
And the Power Glove makes a cameo.
Yeah, but that's the thing, dude. They talk about how shitty it was. The
It
movie,
was shitty.
I'm telling you, man.
Really
like
shitty.
the movie does its homework.
Okay.
Like it's literally it
Is
doesn't.
Rob the Robot in it? Or is this
Yes, he is.
Okay. Now that's old school. All
Yeah,
right.
Ed, give it, find a way.
Okay.
All right, and the last thing I'll champion is, I don't like mentioning other podcasts on here except for really, really, really good ones.
You're not going to champion Next Spin again, are you?
Oh, this motherfucker.
No,
This
please
motherfucker.
don't open this can of worms.
Hold
God damn it,
on, bro.
Shit.
I sent Vodder a picture.
Hold up, hold on. Let me set you up. Let me set you up.
I have the high ground.
Look, Ed. So I sent Vodder a message, and when Vodder was doing his little, hey guys, 2021 wrap up on Instagram, he was like proud of these podcasts, and he put a picture of, obviously the Shortbox podcast, the
Damn right.
first and original podcast that Vodder has been associated with, and probably the most artistic. And then he puts a picture of the Next Spin logo next to us, and I was like, how the fuck is this dude gonna put his side chick's picture in the Christmas photos?
That's just rude as
In the
fuck.
fucking family Christmas pictures, he's gonna be like, hey, y'all mind if I bring this fucking hoe I've been cheating with? Adultery shout out to my fucking adulterous relationship.
It's the little brother. It's the Shortbox little
No,
brother.
I ain't no little brother. The fucking adulterous relationship. Fucking, you bring that homewrecker around again, see what happens.
Here's the thing. C sent that message from
I'm gonna talk to Nick Fresh.
from a different account, and I didn't recognize the account, but I knew who it was automatically just by reading the message. I was like, "This is motherfucking Cesar from a burner account."
I'm gonna talk to all these fools.
Aside from Next Spin, which I will champion, check out my music podcast, Next Spin. I will also champion the new Nas podcast called The Bridge. It, of course, stars Nas and his co-host Minya O, a.k.a. legendary hip-hop journalist Miss Info. They deep dive on 5 decades of hip-hop history. The show also features really candid discussions with an assortment of special guests. My favorite from this first batch of Bridge episodes have been Ice Cube and Mary J. Blige. And in his own raspy Nas voice, he says it the best about the podcast. He says, let me see if I can do it.
Uh-oh.
Hey, yo, this is not... wait. This is an opportunity to go deep and explore how hip-hop went from the microphones, turntables, and sound systems to big business and a worldwide cultural phenomenon.
Wow.
It's
Wow,
Nas.
man. Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
Awful.
I can't. You need 20 plus years of rapping to get to that level
Dude.
of raspy. And
Let me ask
vocal
you,
cords.
is Betrayal on the show?
no, you son of a bitch! Damn it, I walked right into that.
I'm just wondering. Look,
No.
Butter, I've been listening to a lot of Immortal Technique. Don't come at me right now.
Look, the show is a Spotify exclusive. It's 9 episodes deep so far, and new episodes come out every Tuesday. And it doesn't feel like a cheap cash grab. You see a lot of celebrity. It feels like every celebrity's got a podcast or two, and some of them you listen to and you're like, okay, this is just another channel for you. But this one feels candid. It does feel like they're having important and really good discussions about the genre, and the fact that they're celebrating 50 years of still a relatively young cultural thing that is hip hop.
Oh God, don't you hate it? Like when celebrities like Bruce Willis, like when he primarily is an actor and his main bread and butter is trying to be an actor, and when he goes off and does a side project like his band. Oh, nobody wants to hear that. It's horrible. It's pair in comparison.
Bruno.
It's
Bruno
sad to see
Bonner.
when you see Bruno playing a harmonica when you're like, God damn it, dude, you were in Die Hard. What are you doing right now? What exactly is happening? Bonner, you can't speak on any of this, can you?
What about Eddie
No,
Murphy?
I can't because I'm still doing a podcast.
What about Eddie
Yes.
Murphy and his music?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's just a
Well,
classic
by the
at
way,
that point.
these actors are also simultaneously still taking movie roles. It's just sad to see. Just
Well, look,
sad to see.
anyways, check out The Bridge, the Nas podcast on Spotify. It's well worth your time if you are a hip hop head. And since this segment is brought to you by our good friends at Black Hive Tattoo, usually Nick Wagner, the head
I'm so
honcho
ready for this.
of Black Hive Tattoo himself, he normally shares a champion to close us out, but he's still on vacation somewhere with his feet kicked up, so he took this week off. He'll be back later this month.
I'm sorry. What?
Well, I mean, I guess
Took
sponsors can
vacation?
do that. Yeah, I guess.
Hold on.
sponsors-
I'm going to fucking blow this man's spot
Yeah,
up.
blow
This
him up,
dude
blow his spot
fucking
up. Oh, no.
sends me messages, and he's
He's our
been sending me
sponsor.
fart
What are you
videos
doing?
on Instagram.
I'm like, shut up,
Yo,
Cesar. You already
I'm about
almost
to-
fucking
I'm
cost
about
us a
to- I'm
sponsorship
about to
last
blow
year.
this man's
You almost
spot
cost us a sponsorship last year. Shut the
Look.
fuck up.
Look. I'm a fucking adorable. Nick loves me. I'm the fucking kid brother, all right? He knows how it is.
He said he heard what you were, the shit you was talking, you and Warren on Radioactive Man episode. All right, but anyways, Nick will be submitting champion picks going forward. He just took this week off, right? So, which leads us to pretty much wrapping up this episode. But we got one more thing to do before we wrap this episode up. I enjoyed doing these the last few episodes from last year, mainly because it got on Cesar's nerve. So I'm bringing it.
So I'm
to
going to plug
2022.
Next Spin again.
Let's close out this Star Wars episode with some parting knowledge. What did you learn from this episode? Ed, I'll go to
the
you.
fuck?
Don't act brand new. We've been doing it. You've been mad all.
No,
you've
I'm
mad
going to still
every
be mad
time.
about it. Every time you do it, it's going to happen.
I did learn that I guess there was a comic where he got out of the Sarlacc pit. I didn't even know that. I didn't know that.
Brought to you by me. Thank you. I'm
Marvel.
glad I could teach
Oh
you that.
my God, no! This is too much. This
Oh
is
my
too
God.
much. Listeners, don't ever feel bad for Potter ever in your lives. If you see him key his car,
No, please do not do that. I mean, just you tell me I suck verbally. All
I'm
right.
gonna carve Bruno on the side.
hit him where it hurts. Don't slash his tires because that's just lasting damage. Just let the air out because it doesn't hurt the car and it just
Thank you.
inconveniences
Thank
him. And
you.
he
Yeah.
has to get his AAA score.
Just to put
Please,
a boot on it.
Please. See, what about you, man? What did you learn today?
Oh shit! I learned I had a friend.
Oh,
It sucks when they hurt you.
I'm. Do you know what's funny? I really know that Botter gets very uncomfortable with all this shit. It makes me very happy. It's the only solace I can take while this virus is destroying me. For the record, it's not the Rona. I tested negative. Fuck all of you.
Wow.
What I learned...
You got the bootleg virus. So, I mean, don't feel
Dude, it's funny. Yeah, I got the fucking...
Kroger version.
Some guy in the fucking movies taped it on his phone virus. I watched the No Way Home and the fucking Korean guy's DVD sold to me.
Oh,
in
man.
New
Russian
York.
subtitles.
Don't make the same mistake. See, what did you learn, though?
No, yeah. Honestly, I learned that... I learned that Cam Kennedy and John Wagner did a Boba Fett series. I had no idea that Cam Kennedy dipped his foot into other shit other than Dark Empire and the Marvel stuff that he did with the Punisher. If you guys haven't, if you like Cam Kennedy, that was something I wanted to bring up earlier. He did one of those magazine format style Punisher stories, which is so fucking weird. What's that?
Was it War Journal stuff or?
No, dude, it's its own little thing. Like it's like Epic Illustrated type stuff.
Oh, Epic, that's right. Okay.
So like it's really weird. It's bizarre, but it's good. I mean, you know, Cam Kennedy and fucking drawing Punisher. Story's a little what, but you know, fuck it. Just jump in.
Sometimes you just want to look at the art.
Yep.
It's true. It's true. So yeah, so like all I thought that he had done was, you know, Light and Darkness Wars. Shout out Blake. I know you're listening. And work with my boy Beach. This was a fun little foray into the expanded universe. I'm kind of happy Botter decided to do this episode. All the shit I've talked, I think it was a good thing. It was fun to go in here. I learned about some artwork and some storytelling and some cool designs, and I learned I learned a little something about myself along the way. In this season of giving, I feel that all right.
So mine's a little nerdier. Admiral Akbar actually made his debut in the Marvel newspaper strip storyline in 1982 before appearing in Return of the Jedi the following year. The story in the newspaper strip is set just right before The Empire Strikes Back. And I think a few of those, or a large majority of the newspaper strip Star Wars series by Archie Goodwin and Al Williamson, they had free reign to do kind of what they wanted with like unique stories.
I have them all. They're fucking great.
And would you say like a majority of them like follow the are adaptations, but a lot of them take place like in between certain scenes in movies, right?
It goes off the rails. They go crazy, man. They fucking. But again, they do a lot of cooler shit in the EU that they kind of try to do in the newer movies. It doesn't add up. Like there's a whole story arc where like they end up on a casino planet, and there's more intrigue and drama there than there was in.
So weird, like horse thing, horse people.
Nope, none of that shit.
Was it?
Nope,
did they go
it's
there
actual
and just
good storytelling.
Absolutely nothing.
Nope. But anyway, yeah. Not to go back on the fucking, not to beat a dead horse thing on Last Jedi. It's those are all really fantastic, man. And to Botter's point, like you get to see some really neat little Easter eggs. Like, oh shit, there goes Admiral Akbar. You know.
Yep. All right. Well, there you have it, Shortbox Nation. Thank you for hanging out with us this week. Tell us what you thought about this episode or what you ended up learning. Hit up our DMs on Instagram or Twitter, or send us a short email.
You asked for it, Tony.
To read for the next episode. And speaking of next episode, we'll be recording another installment of our spin-off podcast series, Pilot's License. It's a series focused on talking about the best comic book cartoons and animated shows. And for the next installment, which will be episode 10 of the series, we'll be talking about Spider-Man the Animated Series.
Oh, shit.
Now, Pilot's License is a Patreon exclusive, so that episode will be exclusive to our Patreon subscribers for a couple of weeks before we unlock it for everyone else, much like how we unlocked our Spawn episode back in August. But I will be unlocking another Pilot's episode for all of you to enjoy next week while we're out. It'll be episode 8 of the series, our Justice League Unlimited Spotlight. If you love classic comic book cartoons and animated shows as much as we do, this series is for you. Get access to all the Pilot's License episodes as they come out and other bonus content we put out by becoming a patron of the show. Go to patreon.com/theshortbox to sign up, or just click the link in our show notes.
That's the one with that terrible intro music, right? Spider-Man.
Oh, what?
This
What are
is
you
the
talking
second-
about?
Look, man.
Hold on.
What is
First
wrong
off,
with you?
hold on.
We came
let's-
out to that at our live show.
Did
Let's
we?
talk about this
Yeah.
for a
I was
second.
drunk.
Let's talk about this for a second.
I don't remember
See,
anything.
listeners, this is exactly why you cannot afford to sleep on these Patreon exclusive episodes. You may be asking yourself, why, God, why? Why should I pay extra when they'll just unlock it later?
It's no X-Men.
You could be thinking these sort of things, but then you wouldn't be privy to all of the sweet, sweet shit that happens ahead of time. Like Ed dropping these weird salty-ass bombs about how he doesn't like the Spider-Man theme song, even though it was played by Joe Perry from Aerosmith with his dick. He literally pulled out his fucking spider dick and slammed it against guitar strings.
Yeah,
is
how'd
what
his
came
solo
out.
career go?
How did, Ed,
like,
you
"Oh, back
can't
to
be held
Aerosmith with
accountable. He was on heroin, okay?
All right, look, boys, please, no more fighting. I got a pie caking to go cut with a sword right now.
Oh,
right?
wow.
So,
Wow, okay.
Short Box Nation, in the meantime, stay up to date with what we got going on.
Please.
By following us on social media. And most importantly, take care of yourselves. Have a great day. And please continue to make mine and yours Short Box. We'll talk to you soon, all right? Peace.